Hey, what's up everyone? SkullCrusher here. It is Friday, February the 22nd, 2019, and boomers, we are coming right back at you with another Boom Beach video. This video is going to cover the OG Boomers 5-man task force pushing on the leaderboard with our second 5 solo operation on Curtain Call. I am so excited as well. The task force is still very young. As you can see on the leaderboard right there, we are currently sitting at 989, and that is after the 5% force point reset. Once we do get to the next operation, we will be adding on another 1,004 force points, which will help us in our climb in that push on getting to number 1 on the 5-man leaderboard. And of course, with our task force as well, we do have some other members in there right now dropping some intel. Big shout out to Piglet right there. And of course, guys, going right back to the stats there, TF created 19 days ago. I absolutely love that. We are still young, we are still pushing. Of course, as you can see, if we look to the right there, last 30 days, operation started 16, and of course the operation success rate at 0%. We are running Curtain Call as well. The whole point of pushing on this 5-man leaderboard is maximizing our force points with the least amount of hits possible. So with the ops that we are running that do have anywhere between 6 bases and us being a 5-man team, of course we will not be able to finish the operation. We are going for those higher ops with some skilled players, knowing that we can at least get the solos 3, 4, or even 5 on an absolute perfect day. And this operation that I will be showing you will be the 5 solos on Curtain Call. This is so awesome, guys. I am super excited. I really hope you are too. So of course, guys, we are going to get things started over here directly with Eeyore. So big shout out to Eeyore as well, guys. As you can see, we're just going to move this so you can actually get a clear look as well at the 5 bases that were destroyed. Chimera, 264 force points. Complex, 201. Komondor, 169. Conifold, 233. And of course, Dredge at 137. So guys, we are going to get things started here with Eeyore taking on Complex. Now this is a great attack here. We are just going to jump right in, do a little bit of commentary, and just really appreciate the madness here. Now Eeyore absolutely crushed this attack, starting off with an artillery to the top left of the core, clearing out those shock mines, opening up the KZ. Very standard here, guys. You don't want to put your Zookas in a position where you're going to lose them, where you're going to shock them, where you're going to delay your path, whatever it may be. Get all the obstacles out of the way, clear your path. And look at that, guys. We've actually got a high flag drop on the top right of the beach there. No need for a flare here. Actually, look at that. Loses the delay on the landing, and that is an incredibly hot landing as well, but still manages to regroup the Zookas and Brick and reflares to the next flare point. Now on Complex here, it's always directly above that second boom cannon on the far right, generally right underneath the defense that is directly in front of it. So of course, you never want the Zookas to come to a complete stop here. You can see that Eeyore did get Brick and her Zookas into position, reflare to the KZ here, and at the same time too, you've really got to keep an eye on Brick here because you do not want her to take that full smoke separation. As you can see, we do have a full smoke separation. Delay has been lost already. She did peek out of there. So at this point, you either regroup with the flare or just move super quick with your flares. Or sorry guys, your smokes. And as you can see, does a great job getting the troops into position, reflares the core as the flare does expire. Delay's been lost already, but still cycles the shocks, 3 of them. Pins down the 2 sets of RLs and that shock launcher directly behind the core here, and with battle orders activated and the shocks expiring, this one is history. So just like that, guys, boom goes the Dynamite. We've got the first solo, 201 force points on Complex. Big shout out to Eeyore. This guy is an absolute beast in the TF here. So moving forward, next we've got SkullCrusher. Yours truly. And I did send it on Conifold here, and this was a 233 force point solo as well. And ironically, I actually dibs this one. I saw this and I was like, you know what, guys? I'm going for it. So I started things off not clearing anything. I dropped the first boat of Zookas to farm those power cells directly in front of me, and as that was going on, you can see I tossed that artillery right there to clear out those mines, clearing my path, getting the troops to the KZ unobstructed. So after I took out a few of the power cells, I dropped the troops with a flag drop, and then I reflared under the coverage of smoke because smoke drop was a little bit early, but we were getting in range of those machine guns and those rocket launchers as well. So getting a little bit nervous there with some of the Zookas that did peek off to the right there, but they did stay within the smoke. As we reflare to the next flare point, we did drop another artillery, clearing the rest of those mines, freeing our path to the KZ here. As Brick and the Zookas make their way to the mid-flare point, we have a direct reflare to the KZ here. And due to these rocket launchers on the far right, I did not go for a reflare between the boom cannons for the KZ here. I kept the 2 smoke drop at the end here, leaving my shock points being the RL and the shock launcher directly behind my troops, and the shock blaster and the 2 rocket launchers directly in front of it. With the direct reflare to the core, we drop that critter box, cycle our shocks, and actually take full advantage of the delay here. And as you can see, Brick and her Zookas, nothing but time here. We actually take out the base before the shocks do expire. And absolutely beautiful, guys. It's just like that. Boom goes the Dynamite. We've got the second base down and out. So moving forward here, this one was awesome. Anytime I see Chimera, Chimera, Tomato, whatever you want to call it, I always think of Savage here. So Savage just absolutely crushed it here, guys. This was a 264 force point solo here as well, and we're actually going to start this one off at ×2 here, because yes, there's a little bit of farming going on. You can see we've got the deployment of the troops on the left side with a flare directly at the far left of the base layout here, and as you can see, not too intimidating. We've got a wide variety of rocket launchers directly behind the core, but nothing directly to the left, to the right, or in front of it. So that actually gives a good layout to position your troops in the best way possible here. So we're going to bring this up ×4 here, and Savage is just going to town here. Old MacDonald had a what? Old MacDonald had a farm. Savage is just farming everything right now, building up that gunboat energy, taking nothing to chance here, making sure that he can cover all his shock points. So as we go to the next flare point, guys, we are going to bring this back down to ×1 speed. Excellent job getting Bullet and the Zookas to the flare point. Reflares inside that last smoke drop, and from here we should have a next flare. Now, at first I thought this was going to be the KZ, but this should be the Bullet shock point. As you can see, we've got another flare pulling it in a little bit closer. Savage wants to get Bullet right up against that core. Maybe not directly right up it, but still was able to shock Bullet in the position that he wants. Repositions the Zookas, reflares the core. With Taunt activated, that mortar directly in front of the Zookas has nothing to worry about. Cycles a critter box to the boom cannons on the left there. And absolutely beautiful, with Bullet drawing in all the fire from the RLs. Savage isn't even shocking these rocket launchers. I'm sure he still had an insane amount of gunboat energy left. And yes, he does, because just like that, we've got a hyper barrage, medkits, and and artillery going directly on the core. So absolutely beautiful, guys. Boom goes the Dynamite. A big shout out to Savage right there. So going forward to the next base here, guys, this was Bays Beach. Bays Beach is the master of disaster. I love this guy. Absolutely savage in operations. Big shout out to Bays Beach, and of course sending it on Komondor. With the 3 hardest bases out of the way, we had Komondor and Dredge left, so Bays went right in on a 169 Komondor, and I'm gonna leave Bays attack do the talking here. So not too disgusting or too nasty of a Komondor here. You do have a grappler at the top left, which is a little bit odd. You really don't see that much often, but you do have the standard machine guns and flamethrowers directly to the left of the core there as well. So Bays does start things off with a flare landing to the right side of the beach. Once the Zookas do group, he reflares to the mid-flare point, and once the Zookas actually make their way to the beach, he does actually drop Brick for deployment. Nice job. This is what you want to see when smoking your Zookas single file. So at this point, do not let them come to a complete stop. And there we go. Direct flare to the KZ here. Now that's okay that Bays actually does have 2 mines directly in front of his troops on the way to the KZ here. Brick will take the lead here. She'll eat those mines for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. As long as there's not too many boom mines and mines in the way, she can take as many mines as you're willing to feed her. So nice job getting the troops into the KZ here. Bays might follow up with another flare. Yeah, directly to the core here. And of course, as the smoke expires, he cycles his shocks early, pinning down the MGs, the flamethrowers, and the shock launchers, leaving the rocket launchers to pick off the girls. on the edge of the KZ, and just like that, guys, boom goes the Dynamite. Bays follows up with 2 medkits on the core, and that was absolutely fantastic right there, guys. Boom goes the Dynamite. So finishing things off here, we had Bays Beach. A big shout out to Boss. Who to Boss? You to Boss. And I'm talking Bays Beach here. So we had one of the easiest bases remaining here, other than the knocked off 106 disassembler there, 137 force points on Dredge. Bays Beach going in for the solo here, racking in OGboomers 5-man TF, 5 solos on Curtain Call, really excelling our push here on the 5-man leaderboard. We just got to keep getting rolls like this and pulling in the 5 solos. So look at this, guys. Bays Beach starting off on the right side here, sending the troops on an absolute marathon. We're talking cross-country here, and I know you guys know the standard Dredge path, but this is just confidence and just toying around with the base layout at the same time, knowing that Boss will go the opposite way, taking the longest way possible here. And look at that, doesn't even reflare to the power cells. I mean, the troops are still well out of range of those rocket launchers, but I like the chance that Boss took on this attack here. So once he reflares Brick and Herzukas to the flare point, we've got power cells for the taking. Once again, the farm is free, and that's a beautiful farm as well, because there is absolutely no defenses within the range of those troops, which means that is free gunboat energy. So Bays Beach, once he has his fun with the farm, goes for the reflare, regroups the troops, gets them lined up accordingly, and then reflares directly to the left there, regrouping at the next flare point directly behind the shock launchers. Another mid-flare point here, regroups the troops under the coverage of smoke to yet another mid-flare point, getting closer to the core after each flare. Yes, at this point we have the last flare going directly to the KZ, which is directly behind the core here. Critter box dropped under the coverage of smoke, reflare on the core with the 3 smoke drop, pinning down 2 sets of rocket launchers, shock launcher, and mortars. And just like that, guys, we've got the golden halo directly around that core, and boom goes the Dynamite. So guys, big shout out to Bays Beach there, pulling in the 5th solo for the OGboomers 5-man leaderboard pushing task force and bringing us that much closer to number 1. Guys, we've got approximately 39 minutes before this operation ends, meaning that we will add the 1,004 force points onto our total, putting us that much further ahead. I hope you guys enjoyed the 5 solos on Curtain Call. We are gonna end the video. I hope you all have a wonderful night. Time to make like a Tom and cruise. Peace!